He's a daddy, first and foremost. And our daughter gets up every morning and he carries her out to the living room or to the kitchen or wherever she demands to go. That's the type of man Bruce is. He loves to garden. We were thrilled that when we got this house that it had a greenhouse and a garden area. We've been in our current home for 2 years now, and it had a wonderful room that we could utilize as a home office. So we put on a fresh coat of paint and some new carpet and brought in the law books, and we now work from home.
I didn't go into the practice of law for power or prestige or to make a lot of money. I have a gift. I have a mind that tends to understand a number of things at the same time, and I'm able to distill down facts and issues into single, easily understood concepts. Judicial independence is a concept that's argued amongst professionals and largely misunderstood by the average person. There are three branches of government: the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. The intent of our founding fathers was to keep those branches separate and distinct. What that means to the average person is that when you appear in court and to be tried by a judge, or to have a judge instruct a jury about your rights, your obligations, or what you may have to defend or prove, is that that judge is not unduly influenced by anybody in the community or the politics of the time, that you're entitled to a fair and equitable decision by a judge free of all outside influences. That's a sometimes very difficult task to fulfill because everyone has biases and prejudices and a belief system. When a judge sits on the bench and puts on a black robe, it doesn't wipe away all your beliefs, your morals, your character. But what you hope for is a judge who exercises judicial independence, and they may not agree with you philosophically, they may not like your lifestyle, but they are willing to listen to you and apply the law to you, regardless of who you are or who you are affiliated with. That's judicial independence. In Kitsap County, we have a relatively small population of people, which means a relatively small population of attorneys. And for you to get a fair shake in the county and in front of the court and a judge or a jury, it's important that that judge distance themselves from those that might influence them to rule for or against you. Most people would argue that having a judge rule for you isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's a two-edged sword. If a judge is willing to rule for you, they may very well rule against you. And the law should be applied equally without regard to who or whom the judge knows. In this case, we have a small community of attorneys and a even smaller community of judges. Oftentimes, the judges and the lawyers are intimately familiar with each other, and if not social friends, outright friends. The lawyers and judges need to distance themselves both personally and professionally from each other. For instance, and it's well known throughout the state of Washington, that our judges are elected. And when they're elected, that means they're running for office, and if they're running for office, they're seeking campaign funds. Oftentimes, and it happens in Kitsap County, the judges or judge candidates receive funding from local attorneys. It has the appearance, at least to me and others in the community, that when a judge candidate receives money from an attorney, that somehow we are courting favor. And if you're a sitting judge to receive money from an attorney, it certainly has that appearance also. I believe that what attorneys call it the appearance of impropriety. It's like walking up to a judge and saying, here's $1,000 for your campaign, and then expecting the judge to appear to other people as being completely neutral. This bothers me because anytime a candidate receives money from what I consider to be a special interest group, it causes questions and concerns, and it very well it should. That's not to say that the lawyers in our community are anything other than honorable and upright. But one of the most important things we can do as lawyers or judges is maintain the appearance and put ourselves beyond reproach in everything we do. Everyone makes mistakes, but at no time do we need to step out onto a limb to put ourselves in a position where somebody can question our motives. One of the things that I believe would be an improvement in our judicial system is special interest groups, like lawyers, when they're funding campaigns, be specifically identified. And that does not occur at this time unless someone's willing to go through the public disclosure documents. A lot of times people question, why is it important that we elect our judges, or what difference does it make? I'm never going to appear in front of you as a witness or a defendant or a party. And that's a difficult one to answer because people don't understand in large measure that the decisions of a judge on a daily basis impact their very lives. Oftentimes it has something to do with a criminal matter. For instance, the releasing of a dangerous felon onto the street, or a person charged as a felon who has dangerous tendencies which might jeopardize our community. It can have something to do with an easement or a boundary dispute between neighbors in which the judge lets both parties build into a crescendo of hatred without having calmed everyone down and put the brakes on unwarranted personal attacks and made the parties think a little bit before they came into the courtroom to use as their personal stage for launching an attack on someone they don't like. I am not saying anything for or against the decisions made in the cases I'm going to mention, but I mention these to show and use an example of how much power a judge really has in this community. For instance, it was a judge who decided whether Dino Rossi was our governor or Christine Gregoire. It was a judge who decided whether a citizens' initiative to lower taxes would stand. It was a judge who decided whether Josh Brown or Jack Hamilton would be our county commissioner. And no one can say that those three decisions didn't affect them, directly or indirectly. And these are the powers of judges that people overlook. People need to be aware that judges do make decisions which impact their lives. And the way the laws are written, the Code of Judicial Conduct prevents judicial candidates or judges from discussing much in the way of their morals, their belief systems, or to even question decisions that have been made by a sitting judge. This makes it difficult for people to know something about a judicial candidate and what kind of judge they may make. So it's important for you as a voting public to pay as much attention as possible to the many things that an attorney or a judge candidate may have done or aspires to do. And it's not sitting on boards that make you a good judge. It's being completely impartial, understanding that the law is there for everyone, regardless of who they are or what they believe. That is our role as attorneys and as judges. There's nothing important about being a lawyer or being in the field of law. It's really a tool to help others when they need help. I think the practice of law has been hijacked by people who use it as an instrument for either personal wealth or to gain some advantage in a situation in which they shouldn't prevail. And my concern is for the safety of the community. My concern is also for the safety of the community in that if somebody has a chance to change their life, to rehabilitate, that they do so and that the court help direct them into a new path, a way of approaching problems and not unduly punish them for a mistake.